Mark Henry, the 410-pound world's strongest man.
In 2011, something terrifying happened in WWE. A man who had spent over a decade trying to prove himself suddenly snapped. And when he did, he began destroying everyone in his path. That man was Mark Henry. And what followed became known as the Hall of Pain. For many years, Mark Henry was not seen as a dominant monster. Despite being one of the strongest athletes in the world, his WWE career had been inconsistent. Fans knew his power, but they never truly saw him unleashed. But in 2011, everything changed. Mark Henry transformed from a respected veteran into one of the most terrifying forces WWE had ever seen. During the Hall of Pain era, Henry didn't just win matches. He injured opponents, crushed legends, and dominated the entire SmackDown roster. For the first time in his career, the world's strongest man finally became exactly what WWE had always promised he would be. A monster before becoming a WWE superstar. Mark Henry was already famous in the world of strength sports. Born in Texas in 1971, Henry showed incredible strength at a young age. He later became one of the most successful powerlifters in American history. In fact, Henry competed in the 1996 Summer Olympics as a weightlifter. His achievements earned him the nickname the world's strongest man. After the Olympics, WWE saw something special in Henry. In 1996, WWE offered him a 1-year contract, one of the most unique deals the company had ever given to a rookie. At the time, WWE believed Mark Henry could become the next unstoppable giant. But the transition from strength sports to professional wrestling wasn't easy. Henry struggled during his early years in WWE. Sometimes he was booked as a serious powerhouse. Other times, he was involved in strange storylines that didn't highlight his strengths. For many fans came with athlete, but not a true main event superstar. Still, he never gave up. Through injuries, criticism, and years of ups and downs, Henry stayed with WWE and continued improving. And eventually, that patience would pay off. By 2011, Mark Henry had been in WWE for more than 15 years. He was respected by fans and fellow wrestlers. But he had never fully reached the top. That was about to change. During the summer of 2011, Henry began showing a darker and more aggressive side. Instead of simply competing, he started targeting and destroying other wrestlers. Week after week on SmackDown, Henry attacked opponents after matches. He injured competitors by slamming them violently and even trapping their legs in steel chairs. This wasn't just domination. It was destruction. Soon, WWE began referring to Henry's path of destruction as the Hall of Pain. The message was simple. Anyone who stepped into the ring with Mark Henry would enter the Hall of Pain. And once inside, they might not walk out the same. Henry's victims included several well-known WWE superstars. He attacked veterans, rising stars, and even legends. But the moment that truly defined the Hall of Pain era came during a feud with Randy Orton. Orton was the world heavyweight champion and one of WWE's biggest stars. Mark Henry challenged him for the championship at Night of Champions 2011. Many fans expected Orton to retain the title, but Henry had other plans. During the match, Henry used his massive strength to overpower the champion. After years of struggle, Mark Henry finally achieved what had once seemed impossible. He defeated Randy Orton and became the world heavyweight champion. It was the first world championship of his WWE career, and it validated everything he had fought for. But Henry wasn't finished. As champion, he continued his reign of destruction. Superstars like Big Show and others faced Henry's brutal power. At one point, Henry even collapsed the wrestling ring during a confrontation with Big Show. Moments like these made the Hall of Pain era unforgettable. For months, Mark Henry dominated the SmackDown brand as champion. And for the first time in his career, he truly looked unstoppable. Climax 15, 00-18. Eventually, every dominant era must come to an end. In late 2011, Henry faced increasing challenges for the World Heavyweight Championship. One of the biggest came from Daniel Bryan. Bryan had been carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase, which guaranteed him a championship opportunity at any time. After Henry defended his title in a brutal match against Big Show at TLC 2011, both men were exhausted. That's when Daniel Bryan saw his chance. Bryan cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Moments later, he pinned Mark Henry and became the new World Heavyweight Champion. Just like that, the Hall of Pain era reached its dramatic conclusion. Henry's reign had ended, but his legacy had already been cemented. The Hall of Pain era changed how fans viewed Mark Henry. For years, he had been seen as a powerful athlete who never quite reached his full potential. But in 2011, he proved that he could be one of the most dominant champions in WWE history. His transformation into a ruthless destroyer gave fans one of the most memorable storylines of that era. More importantly, it showed that persistence can eventually lead to greatness. Mark Henry spent more than a decade fighting to prove himself, and when his moment finally arrived, he made it unforgettable. Today, Mark Henry is remembered not just as the world's strongest man, but as the man who created the Hall of Pain, a place where legends were broken, and where one wrestler finally became the monster WWE always believed he could be.